everyone, this is Sandy Reese with StampinCrew.com, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Welcome back to another episode of How Did They Make That? Today we're making the sample using the Flourishing phrases and Flourish Thinlit dies on page 24 in the 2017-18 catalog. And all images are Stampin' Up! My goal today is to show you how they made these samples to the best of my ability. So this is actually the card that inspired me to make these videos, because after looking at it for several minutes, I'm just like, how did they make that? So after several attempts and a lot of playing around, I think I have it figured out, but I am going to show you what I did to recreate the sample. So we're just using the first set of the stamp set. It actually has a lot of different sayings in there, but we're just using this first one. And then out of the die set, we're using the big flourish die, the smaller 4-petaled flower, and then the little berry die. So to start, we are just going to do our Versamark and clear embossing. I'm going to go through this quickly for you so you can just kind of see what I did, but you don't have to sit through the whole thing. Actually, I don't want that one. Okay, so you've noticed I've covered this piece of crumb cake cardstock with Versamark. So we're going to do all of this in clear powder, and we're going to die cut the big flourish die out of here. Okay, so after heating all of our clear embossing, you notice how the images are darker. Even though it's clear powder and clear Versamark ink, it's going to make a darker color. All right, next I am going to do a little bit of gold embossing. And if you look on the sample, you see we have gold along the edges. There's a little gold spatter. We have some gold leaves over here, and then there's a little gold highlights on our Pear Pizzazz Flourish. So we're going to go ahead and do that and get all of our embossing out of the way. So there's two ways you can do this. This is our front panel of our card. You can either take your Versamark and you can rub it along the edge like that, or you could use a sponge dauber, which I like to do only because it gives me a little more control, and I was a little heavy-handed, and when I did the sample I wiped it on the ink pad. So with this, I'm just gonna kind of go along the edge, do a little bit up there, and get a little more control doing that. Okay, and then we're going to add our leaves up here. Put them about there. I'm going to stamp just a note. All right, down here. All right, And I'm going to go ahead and heat these, and then I'll do the spatter. You can always wipe off or use a brush to wipe off what you don't want to keep. Okay, so next we're going to do a little spatter, and I am just going to use my paintbrush and a little bit of water to do a few drops of water, and then I'm going to use my embossing powder on it. But I think I'm going to go over this with my embossing buddy real quick first, because I don't want powder. That gold powder is real fine. So we're just going to do a few drops there, and then we've also got some gold on our other flowers, so we can go ahead and emboss again over what we've already embossed. So I'm just going to do a couple drops there, a couple there, do a little bit on the leaves. All right, and then we have, I've already cut this out of Pear Pizzazz. So on my sample, I'm going to show you, I used the sponge dauber to add some, but it's a little heavy-handed. There's not a whole lot of control on that. So I'm going to try this one, just using a little bit of water. I'm going to do a little, just put a little brush on each of the berries, and then a little bit on the bottom of those flowers, and then maybe a couple touches here and there on the stems. All right, we'll try that and see how that looks. All right, that looks good, but I think my brush maybe was a little dry. I didn't get as much on there as I wanted. So we're going to add a little more water. Try that again. Okay, that's better. I've got a little more gold on there. Okay. Oh, that's dried a bit. Let's go ahead and do this one. It's got a few. Okay, I'm going to add just a little more water. I guess you don't want to wait too long because that water is going to dry and then you have to do it again, but it's okay. Oh, that looks good. And the nice thing, since I'm just using water, if I get too much on and I don't like it, I can always just wipe it off. I feel like I don't have enough on here. Wipe it off and start over. Okay. We'll go ahead and heat that. Okay, and just like with the card we did last week, every time you do this, it's going to come out a little bit different, which is what's so nice and gives it that handmade quality. All right. So now we've done all our embossing. Next I'm going to take this piece of clear embossed crumb cake and I'm going to cut one of these out. I'm going to make sure I keep all the little pieces inside, and then I'm going to hand trim these out. So I will be back in just a minute, and then I'm also going to cut out this piece out of our card front. Okay, so I've die cut my large flower and leaf image out of my card base. Then I've hand cut my 2 flowers. The fresh fig is the full flower, and then I cut out the smaller flower image out of that with the berry burst. And then I've cut out my leaves, and I die cut another one of these from the embossed crumb cake piece. And then this is our pear pizzazz, which we already had. And then I've die cut a couple of the berry images, one out of foil, one out of gold foil, one out of gold glimmer paper, and then the little flower petal out of the gold foil. So now to assemble, we are going to take our card base. This is always artichoke. And then our card front is cut the same, well, it's actually just a hair smaller. On the sample, it's the same size, but I kind of like having the little extra hair around it. So to assemble, this is the tricky part that took me a while to figure out. I'm taking my snail adhesive. I'm going to cover this whole section with snail where our flourish is going to go. I'm going to make sure I need a little bit more down here. Alright, I'm going to make sure that's going to show through the whole thing. Yep, that will cover everything. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit over here, make sure they're going to be attached all the way around. So go ahead and layer your card front on your card. Oh, that's a lot of stickiness. Alright, so next we're going to lay our crumb cake piece in here, and we're just going to do it lightly. Very lightly. And what we're going to do is press in all of our little pieces, and then we're going to pull the main image out. So these are going to be stuck in there. That's why we want this to come out completely in one piece after we die cut it. So I'm going to go ahead and push all these in, and then we'll come back to finish up. Okay, I have all of my little pieces in. And if you get little fuzzies in there, you know, from the crumb cake, that's okay. So now that I have my negatives, I'm going to lay in my pear pizzazz piece. And if you're off a little bit, you can kind of use your piercer to wiggle that around. I'm just going to fit that in. Alright, now you'll notice on the sample in the catalog, some little pieces are popping in, popping out. If you feel like it's not sticking well enough in a few places, you can add a little bit of your fine tip glue pen or a little teeny drop of Tombow as needed, but you want a little bit to pop out occasionally to give it a little more dimension. Okay, I think that feels pretty good in there. Alright, next we're going to add a little piece of this ribbon. Okay, and I'm just going to attach this with some tear and tape, a little piece of tear and tape. Okay, we'll flip it this way. This is just going to kind of come out from underneath our big flower, and that's not really going to show. I'm going to attach this just in the center with a little bit of, actually I'm going to move this up just a hair, I think, because we want some of this, this flower to show. So I'm going to stick this up here a little bit higher, cover that tear and tape. All right, we're going to add our leaves back here. Okay, then we've got our little berries. Add my glimmer berry. We're going to add our gold foil berry. Coming up there. Okay. Next I'm going to pop up my smaller flower and add this on top. I'm going to make it, I'm going to rotate it from the one that's right below it. We'll add our glimmer piece. Let that dry. And then we have some of our gold sequins, and these are out of our gold or our metallic sequin assortment. So I've picked out 4 gold, and I'm going to add these. Put one there. These are just, I just stuck them on glue dots. It'd be nice and easy. Just stick these on our card. Stick one over here, and then over here on the sample they have a little piece of gold thread, and I don't know if they've tied it onto their sequins or what, but I am not going to tie that on my sequins. I'm going to peel my sequins off, stick my gold thread under it, and then stick it right to my flower. So I've got that look, but I don't have a lot of work. So that is everything for this card. Now this card has a lot of steps. So I had made another card that I wanted to show you that's very similar. It's a normal half size or half sheet card front. This one's a little bigger than normal, as you can see. And then what I've done, I've let go, I haven't done as much spattering. I've done a little less work. I just took the Flourish out of this card front that I used. I added a little gold embossing powder, and I just glued that to the card front. And then I added a gold flower here instead of the clear embossed one. I did a gold embossed, the leaves. I cut a couple extra leaves with the dies, and then just one of these little gold foil berries, and then did the flowers the same, but left out this. So this one went a lot quicker. I just stamped my saying in artichoke ink, but that's a cute little, you know, card that's a little bit quicker to do, not quite so detailed. But that's how you make that sample. So I hope you enjoyed that. Come back next time. If you'd like to continue to view these videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and make sure to click the link in the description to get measurements and a complete supply list. Thanks for stopping by.